All right. Good Sunday afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me on my page, Chara Harris Online. I am Chara, and my hope and my prayer for this page is that you grow in your faith and you become encouraged in the Word, and we can learn together. So, I've been, I usually say MIA for a while. I didn't go live last week because I was still kind of like thinking about what I was going to teach and what I was going to share or teach on here and everything. And then with all of the racial things that I would say coming to surface, because they've always been here in the United States, coming to surface. My previous live was me sharing my experiences with that, which could have went on forever, but I shared my most important part, I think. So before all of that, I had prepared to share what I was learning in studying Noah, reading about Noah. And the reason why I started reading about Noah is that when this whole pandemic hit and you're just like, what's happening? Like you're just uncertain of what's going to happen in the future, what's coming next. I remember I would sit on my back porch and I'd ask God and be like, what is going on? Like, what do you want me to know? Like, what do you want me to do in this part? And for some reason, I felt like he kept impressing in my heart about Noah, and the flood, right? And so when I read it, I saw some parallels. I saw some things that I feel like it's parallel to what we're going through right now, which may have been what it was like in Noah's time. And I know that seems a little weird at first because we're like, well, we're not in a flood, we're in a pandemic, but just hear me out. I'm going to share what I've learned and all of that, and hopefully it'll be encouraging to you and helpful to you. So please share this video, please like, please comment, so I can keep doing more of these. So the main part, let's see, I'm trying to think, where do I want to start? So I'll start with what we're going through, right? So we have this virus, we have a COVID-19 coronavirus that is what they call a novel virus, meaning it's new. Like it's not a virus that it has seen before. That's why it's so scary, because there's not like an exact treatment for it. Because even if you get the flu, well, you can get some Tamiflu. Your doctor kind of can tell you exactly what to do, and you'll be fine. With this virus, it's new. They're still studying it as people are getting sick, and they're trying to help. And so it's like I don't know what's going on. So the parallel with Noah on that is that it had not rained on earth before the flood. And so that was eye-opening to me. And I'll tell you where I got that from, and I looked it up as well. So you're thinking, God has told him to build this ark about rain because rain is coming, but no one has really seen rain. So if we go to Hebrews 11, because in Hebrews 11 it talks about faith, right? And it starts talking about the great people of faith in the Old Testament. And so if we go to Hebrews 11, so let me go here. Let me switch my screen so you can see where I'm going, because I think that will be helpful as well. All right. Hey. All right. So I use Bible Gateway a lot. It's really, really nice to look up things in here. So I'm going to go to Hebrews 11, verse 7, I think. And hopefully y'all can see my screen. All right, so here we go. So we got Hebrews 11, verse 7, and I'm on a second screen, so I'll look over here to read it. And I'm in the New King James Version, and it reads, "By faith, Noah, being divinely warned of things not yet seen." Not yet seen. So I was like, what is not yet seen? All of the rain and the flood, right? Not yet seen. Moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. So it was through faith that Noah believed God that I may have not seen what's going to come, but I'm still going to prepare. All right. So I actually Google searched. I went and searched and was like, well, was there rain before the flood? And of course, there's two arguments. Some people say there was, some people say there wasn't, but there's more Bible verses that lean toward the fact that there wasn't rain, that the vegetation was watered like through a mist or through the rivers and tributaries and stuff. So I'm going to share some of that as well too. So Noah believed God for something he hadn't seen, right? this virus is something we have not seen. Okay, so it's really easy to just chalk it up and go, oh, well, it's like the flu. Or no, it's not. Like, it's something we haven't seen. Doctors and scientists are still studying it, right? So I can imagine how people talk to Noah. I mean, here he is building this huge ark. Like, if you read in Genesis 6, if you read about how big God asked Noah to make the ark so that he could have all these animals in it, this thing was huge, and I can only imagine what people said to Noah during that time. And he's talking about, it's going to rain, it's going to flood, I'm building this ark. They probably thought he was a crazy man, right? Yet he was doing what God asked him to do. It was something that he hadn't seen that was still going to happen, and it was a very real reality. So let's go back to, I'm going to go to Genesis 2, because that's where there's about 3 verses that talks about how the vegetation was watered and taken care of without rain. And so let's go to Genesis 2. And y'all let me know if you like me sharing the screen like this, or when I just read the verses to you from my Bible and my book, because I can also do that as well. All right. So Genesis 2 here, I'm going to scroll up a little bit so you can see. All right. So it's verses 5, 6, and 10. So in 5 and 6, let me highlight them for us real quick. Okay, so Genesis 5, we've got before any plant, it wants me to highlight it, but I don't want to highlight. Before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. So this is before he even made Adam and all of that. So then you go to verse 6, and it says, but a mist, if I try to highlight this, other little thing keeps coming up, so I won't highlight it. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So things were watered with just like this nice, like, I guess kind of like I think of like the morning dew, like when you wake up, and sometimes like in the fall, or when the temperatures change, or in the spring, and you get up and you go outside and there's like this nice dew like over your grass and stuff. That's kind of what I picture that. So we have here where he had not caused it to rain, and there was mist and dew. And then in Hebrews, when they're talking about Noah's faith, they're saying that God told him of something that he hadn't seen, and he believed it, and he built the ark. So I feel like we're kind of in that same mode. Like, this is a virus that we haven't seen before. So there's not just, let me go to the doctor and get my medicine and go back home and take the medicine and I'll be better. Like, they're learning as it goes on how it affects different age groups and how it affects different people. And so we're just kind of learning through that. So just in that part, I would say my encouragement is to always just seek God. Like, ask God, ask him for wisdom, ask him for guidance and all of this. I mean, he's the one that led me to read Noah, and I started seeing like, okay, we're kind of in the same situation. Like, it's something we hadn't seen before. So the second point I want to make is that comes in Genesis 8, and this is after the flood. So this is after the 40 days, and you've got all this water and everything. And I feel like it kind of parallels to us right now, where we're starting to open back up, but cases are also on the rise too. So, but we're opening back up, and we're just kind of trying to get back to our normal, right? And so my second point is to use wisdom and caution when trying to return to normal. And you'll see that Noah used that as well. Even though Noah was chosen by God, God told him that he chose him to build the ark, and his family was going to be saved and all of this. Even after the flood, Noah was still very cautious about just leaving the ark. He just didn't say, oh, okay, the rain's over, I'm just fixing to just go on out and do this. He didn't do that. And so I'm gonna highlight some parts in Genesis 8. So we're gonna look at Genesis chapter 8, and we're gonna look at verses 6, 10, and 12. So in verses 6, we've got, hopefully I can highlight it here. So it came to pass, I wish that little highlight thing would go away, but anyway. So it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he made. Okay. Then he sent out a raven, which kept going to and fro until the waters had dried up on the earth. And he also sent out a dove to see if the waters had receded from the face of the ground. So he just didn't go out there himself. He opened up the window, he sent out the raven, he sent out the dove, right? Okay. So the dove returned back. So now I'm on verse 9. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and she returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and drew her into the ark. And here's where I highlight verse 10. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again sent out the dove from the ark. So he waited a while. He waited a whole week, 7 days, and then sent the dove back out again before he even tried to leave the ark himself. Okay? So he waited 7 days, sent the dove out again. This time, so I'm on 11. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. And Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. But again, he still waited, even after the dove brought the olive leaf back to show that there was land and there was vegetation. He waited yet another 7 days and sent out the dove, which did not return to him anymore. So then the dove had found a tree or something to nest in, and he knew it was okay. But there was a lot of waiting in between there. And in this part where he sent the raven and the dove, it's not clear if he sent them both together, or did he send the raven, and when the raven didn't come back, or something like that, then he sent the dove. Not sure in that part. But he was cautious, even though Noah was in the will of God, completely in the will of God, completely under God's grace. God gave him this mandate to build the ark and all of that. And he didn't just say, well, God's going to protect me, so we're just going to open the door and let everybody out. He was still very like, let me send out the dove. Okay, let me wait 7 more days. Let me send out the dove. The dove brings back an olive leaf, which is, an indication that there is vegetation. And he still waits another 7 days before he actually sends the dove out again, and then starts to open the ark and let everybody in. So very cautious, even though he was completely in the will of God. So I just want to share that, and that it's okay to use wisdom in this time, and not to just jump back out and say, okay, well, everything's open, so I'm just going to jump back out. And it's okay to be cautious. It's okay to still be reading about the cases and staying up to date on stuff, and deciding for yourself when you want to actually go out and get back out to normal, or back to our normal, kind of what we think of. But this jumped out at me as being, I feel like, parallel to what we're going through. So I wanted to come and share that. I know this was a shorter, probably a shorter teaching than when I did the book of John, but I wanted to come and share that here as well. There was something else I can't remember. Oh, I was also looking up how long did it take him to build the ark, and there's not really a definite answer. I know there's a verse in there that says something about God made the lifespan 120 years, but it doesn't say he took 120 years to build the ark. But he didn't build it like overnight, because if you read about the dimensions and how big he had to make it, it took some time. So just think there's that time he's building this for something he's never seen before. So I can only imagine how the rest of the people were saying things to him or asking questions or something like that, because they had never seen rain before. And here's this man talking about it's going to rain, and he's building this huge, taking years to build this huge boat, right? So that had to be, I don't know, that had to be a very interesting time. But I feel like it kind of parallels with our time. Like, I just feel like we need to be patient with our doctors and scientists, because they are working on it, but those things take time. Like coming up with a medicine, or coming up with a vaccine, no matter how you feel about vaccines, but coming up with that and coming up with a treatment or a medicine, those things take time. Like, it's not going to just be overnight and then we can just jump back to being our normal. So my encouragement is just that you seek God. Like, what does God want you to do in this time? Like during this time of like transition, like what can you be focused on, instead of just focused on getting back to how things were, getting back to normal. So I just wanted to share that, because those are the things that stuck out to me when I was reading about Noah, and I feel like God impressed that on my heart to read about Noah. So I want to come in here and share, because that's what this page is all about. So I hope that was encouraging you. I hope it encourages you to read the whole story of Noah, because it starts in Genesis 6 and it goes all the way to Genesis 9. If you want to read the whole thing about Noah in there, that would be good. So I'm looking over here because I'm going to see if I have any comments or questions. All right. and I don't. So I think we're good to go. All right, so I will be back on next Sunday if I'm ready with something to share. I'm not quite sure what topic I'm going to be looking up next, but if I do have something to share, then I will definitely come back on to do that. All right, so I will see y'all later, and hope you have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon into the evening, and have a good start to your week on Monday. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.